You started by setting, I think, a challenge for the people in the room around, let's get a hunter company at the top of that list of the most innovative companies in Australia. So I thought I might structure my talk today to just quickly run through the 3 steps that the actual process follows. And hopefully I'll give you a few insights, not just how we apply, but how you might want to start thinking if you do want to apply, but also how you can have some takeaways for your own company. So the first step is you have to enter some case studies. Provide some examples of innovation, and I'll run through one. It'll give you a bit of an example of what Planet Innovation does, because I'm sure you're still sitting there thinking, what does this company do again? So we're a product development company. Companies come to us with an idea for a product, or they've got an existing product range, they want to create a new product, but they can't do it on their own. So it's a significant challenge. It'll be a significant technical challenge or a commercial challenge. So we're working with a company formerly known as Sydney IVF, now known as Genea, and they run IVF clinics all around the country. They wanted to develop products, not just be a service company, but develop products. So we're working with them on a product that helps the freezing process of the IVF. And as we're doing that, working with the client, we noticed that the embryos are grown for 5 days in an incubator. And every day, they take that embryo out of the incubator, put it under a microscope, and they grade it. And then they put it back. And they grade them so that at the end of the 5 days, they can work out which embryo has the highest viability of survival, and that's the one that gets implanted in the patient. The remainder get frozen. So we weren't really looking at that. We were working over here, but it was like, it's a bit harsh on the poor old embryo. It spends all day inside this beautiful incubator where it's warm and the light is perfect and the gas is perfect, and it gets ripped out, photo taken, smack straight back in the incubator. What if we could put the microscope in the incubator? And they said, well, it's been done, but the microscopes are pretty big. And so you have to build a very big incubator and it becomes very expensive. So, what if we could find a low-cost, super high quality, very small camera that we could put inside that incubator? Where would we find that? Anyone got a smartphone in your pocket? Now, it wasn't as simple as just taking the camera out of a smartphone, and if the engineers and scientists were here that worked on that, they'd be saying, it wasn't just as easy as taking the camera out of a smartphone. Adrian Higgins and his software team did a magnificent job developing the software around that. Simon Spence and the optics team did some great work there. But effectively, we built an instrument that does exactly that. So once the embryo goes into the incubator, the camera just takes its photo. We can take it every second, every hour, every minute, and never has to be disturbed. And then the embryologist can just have a look at the screen and they can judge and rate that and observe it without ever disturbing the embryo. If we wanted to, it's digital now, we could send it to the family sitting in their living room. They could watch their embryo grow. So that's a bit of an example of some of the work we do at Planet Innovation, but the case study you have to fill out, it's 300 words, it's a one-pager. My tip is, whatever it is you do, make sure you elevate the story. Somewhere, whatever you're doing is probably having an impact on society or the community, and you want to focus on that. All right, the second stage of the process is a staff survey. So at our company, we're 100 people. We've grown from 4 to 100 over 5 years. For our company, 50% of our staff have to fill out the online survey. On the day of the survey, there is nothing really that I can do about that. This is where, for the last 365 days, you've invested in your staff. So at Planet Innovation, we spend a lot of time hiring the right people. And the people we hire are often the people that other companies reject. And I'll tell you why. We often hire people, we'll be halfway through an interview and the person we're interviewing will say to us, I really want to work for your company and I love the engineering that you guys are doing, but I only want to work 3 days a week because the other 2, I'm importing these little electronic parts from Malaysia and building these kits that I want to sell through a toy store. Is that okay? And most companies look at that and would go, this person's really not invested in my company. They've got their own interests, they're clearly distracted, they want to build their own business. That person's not for us. We'd kind of look at that and go, well, this is interesting. Clearly technically brilliant. Set up supply in Malaysia, managing stock, obviously knows how to margin, sell through retail distribution. This is an entrepreneur. We'd love to have you. Because even 3 days a week, if you're thinking like that for our business, that's a great benefit over somebody that maybe is just focused in a linear thinking model. So we hire lots of people like that. It does come with the caveat that those people can be difficult to manage at times, and you have to keep them focused. But that's all right. In innovation, different is good, okay? The second thing you do is once you hire them is you need to build a culture where they can flourish, yeah? So for us, that's a culture where people can play, where they can explore, and where they can try and fail and feel safe in doing that. And that is very easy to say that, and it's very easy to write that on the wall. And we've got some chalkboards with the really cool words on the walls. We do have that. But we also live it. So a little while ago, we had an internal project. We were working on our own product, not for a client. So we developed this product, and we marketed it, and it was only so-so successful. It was not a big commercial success, to be totally honest. Nobody was fired. There was no blood let. We simply do what they call these days, we simply pivoted. So we took the technology, we redirected it, and we built Zen, another product, a smart thermostat that goes on the wall of your house so you can control the temperature with your smartphone as you're driving home. Because it's 2015 and nobody wants to go home to a warm house or a cool house. We put it up on Indiegogo, we raised $60,000 in 2 weeks. We went and spoke to some distributors, and just last week we signed a $500,000 deal to get it sold out through North America. And there's some other very big deals for that business, which we're now going to spin off. Same team, same people that ran the unsuccessful, ran this one. And it was the support, I think, and the leadership of our company that gave them the confidence to do that. And it sent a strong message not just to them, but to the other 85 people in the business, that we believe in those slogans that we have written on the wall. So culture has to be seen, it can't be read, okay? I don't think I have a picture of the actual team, but it's some of the group that was working on that particular project, some of the industrial designers. The third part of the process is a Q&A, okay? So up to the third part of the process, the submission has to be in about 45 minutes. This is how I normally end up, Inventium. And the Q&A is about process and structure. How have you embedded innovation within your company? You haven't just kind of bolted it on or stuck a title on somebody. How do you kind of live and breathe it? So at Planet Innovation, this has been a journey for us over many years. We've really worked hard to raise our self-awareness about innovation. So by that I mean, we consciously think about where we innovate and how we innovate. So let's talk about the where. First thing is, are we going to innovate externally for our clients, or are we innovating internally on our own business? Very conscious decision. Then, where are we going to innovate? Is this going to be a product innovation? Does it require a service innovation? Business model innovation? Structural innovation? Maybe the solution here is a marketing innovation or a client engagement innovation. They're all very different, and there's some other options. But you define the problem and you define where does the innovation opportunity lie. Once you get that awareness of what you're doing, it allows you to have a holistic view, play the whole board, as I would say in a chess game, so you don't miss opportunities. So if you think back to the incubator, for us, that was an external product development innovation. For our client, it was very much a business model innovation. They were going from just being a service provider to now a product supplier that would lock in ongoing service for them. How do you innovate? You've decided where you're going to innovate. How are you going to do it? So everybody has a default way of innovating. Whether you're aware of it or not, we kind of all do. And the company does, because it's made up of people. So if I was to ask each and every one of you, what is your default way for innovating? How do you innovate? Would you know? What answer would you give me? So I want to know, if I'm putting a team of my people to work on a project, I want to know how each of those people innovate so I've got the right people in the room. So to find out, I might throw a challenge at you. I might say, okay, here's your challenge. A new company just walked through the door and they need a new name for their business, okay? A new brand name. This is what you've got. They're a technical company, they're very fast growing, they're a global organisation, and they're really youthful in their brand positioning. Go away, come back with some names. So when you came back with a name, I'd be interested to see what you came up with. Anyone got one already they want to throw at me? But what I'm more interested in is, how did you come up with that name? What did you do? Because if you locked yourself in a room, removed distractions, focused on that challenge, thought about it, drew on your experience, looked at it from different angles, and came up with the name, I'd say, okay, so maybe you're a critical thinker. That's how you like to innovate. Did you maybe write those 4 words on the wall? What were they? Technology, fast-moving, global and youthful. Did you draw a circle around each one of them? Fill that circle with other words that mean the same thing. Connect those words where you could see a relationship. Because if you are, maybe you're a process innovator. That's how you like to innovate. Maybe you pumped those 4 words into Google Images, got some great shots, printed them out, stuck them on the wall, sat in the middle of that room, because this is how I do it. Okay, so you're a contextual innovator. Or maybe you simply, hey, Marie, Jack, come over here. Have a look at this. What have you come up with? What if we do, maybe you're a collaborator. Maybe that's your default. The first thing you do when you get a problem is you call in other people. Have a think. Look at how you do it. Observe other people. See how they innovate. Because when you generate that self-awareness, each of those methods has strengths. Each of those methods has weaknesses. And when you're aware of them, you can put them together in a way that allows you to combine the strengths of all of them. All right. And if you do all that properly, hopefully we get a Hunter company in the top 10. So, again, just to recap, enter your case study, elevate your story about the community and societal impact that you're having. Your staff survey, invest in the right people. Different is good. Cultural values, they need to be seen, not just read. And think about where and how you innovate. Thanks a lot.